In a world where loyalty is tested, secrets fester in the shadows, and every choice carries irreversible consequences, the lives of Naomi, Martin, Chelsea, and Haley intersect in a web of tension, ambition, and betrayal. Each character faces a crucible of internal and external pressures, where desire, fear, and morality collide, forcing them to confront decisions that could shatter their relationships and redefine their futures. This episode plunges the audience into a storm of psychological complexity, exploring not only the visible conflicts that erupt between individuals but also the hidden battles waged within their own hearts. With every glance, hesitation, and revelation, the narrative exposes the fragility of trust, the volatility of ambition, and the devastating impact of choices made in moments of uncertainty. What unfolds is a gripping examination of human vulnerability, where love and loyalty are weighed against personal ambition, secrets threaten to unravel entire families, and even the smallest actions can ignite catastrophic consequences. The dim morning light filtered through the half-closed blinds, casting faint shadows across Naomi's face as she stood before the mirror. Her reflection seemed almost foreign to her this morning, a silent observer to the storm of emotions raging beneath the surface. Anxiety twisted tightly in her chest, a constant reminder of the precarious state of her relationship with Jacob. What had once been a source of warmth and security now felt fragile, teetering on the edge of uncertainty. Naomi's eyes lingered on her own gaze, trying to decipher the subtle tremors in her expression, the fleeting cracks in her composure. Every beat of her heart seemed amplified, echoing through the silent room like a warning drum, signaling the approach of an inevitable reckoning. She had tried, countless times, to voice her feelings, to bridge the chasm growing between them, but each attempt had dissolved into silence, the words lodged stubbornly in her throat. The thought of losing him or losing the version of their relationship that she had known was unbearable, yet the inevitability of change loomed over her, an invisible hand pressing relentlessly on her spine. Across town, Martin's phone vibrated insistently on the polished wooden table. The voice on the other end spoke of ambition, opportunity, and risk, an invitation to a high-stakes investment project that promised extraordinary rewards but demanded significant sacrifices. Martin's mind immediately split in two. On one side, there was the lure of success, the tantalizing possibility of achieving something monumental, something that would elevate him beyond the ordinary confines of his current life. On the other, the inescapable reality of the cost, distance from family, separation from friends, and, most painfully, the thought of leaving Chelsea, who herself was reeling from her mother's recent victimization in a scam that had left the family shaken. Each option carried weighty consequences, and the prospect of choosing one path over the other tightened a knot in his chest, constricting his lungs and clouding his judgment. The quiet hum of the room, punctuated by the faint rustle of papers and the occasional creak of the floorboards, seemed to echo the internal turmoil that churned within him. Martin was acutely aware that this decision would define not only his immediate future but the core of who he was, revealing whether ambition could coexist with loyalty, or whether the pursuit of success inevitably required compromise. Meanwhile, Chelsea found herself plunged into a labyrinth of deception, her investigative instincts ignited by the realization that her mother had been defrauded. Determined to uncover the truth, she sought guidance from an unexpected source. A former friend of the Dupree family, someone who had intimate knowledge of their history and secrets. What she discovered was nothing short of earth-shattering. The financial deception was not merely a random act of opportunism, it was entwined with a hidden family secret so explosive that it threatened to upend her understanding of the past and reshape her perception of those around her. Chelsea's hands trembled as she reviewed the documents, each page revealing further layers of betrayal and complicity. Shock gave way to disbelief to a gnawing suspicion. Who among the people she trusted could be orchestrating such manipulation? Her mind raced, constructing scenarios, weighing loyalties, and questioning motives. The deeper she delved, the more she realized that the web she had stumbled into was intricate, with threads connecting past grievances, present manipulations, and potential future catastrophes. Every revelation forced her to reconsider who she could trust, leaving her isolated in a world where truth and deceit were nearly indistinguishable. Simultaneously, Haley busied herself with preparations for Bill's birthday, determined to craft a moment of joy and personal triumph through the meticulous selection of a gift meant to convey thoughtfulness and affection. But in a cruel twist of fate, her carefully planned gesture went awry when the present was inadvertently taken by an uninvited guest. What might have been dismissed as a simple mishap quickly escalated into a potential source of misunderstanding and tension. Haley's emotions oscillated between frustration, anxiety, and self-recrimination. The minor chaos threatened to overshadow the celebratory occasion, a subtle reminder of how easily carefully laid plans could unravel. Though the incident carried an element of humor, the underlying tension hinted at deeper consequences, interpersonal strain, simmering resentments, and the potential for conflicts to flare among those present. Haley grappled with the urgency to rectify the situation, yet each decision she considered seemed fraught with the possibility of exacerbating misunderstandings. The seemingly trivial loss of a gift became emblematic of larger vulnerabilities within her relationships, exposing fissures that had previously been ignored or underestimated. As the day waned, the camera lingered on Naomi, who stood outside the window, her gaze fixed on Jacob as he departed. Her expression was a portrait of longing, fear, and resignation, an amalgam of emotions that spoke volumes more than any words could convey. In her eyes burned the tension between love and uncertainty, the silent plea for him to understand what she could not articulate, and the quiet acceptance that she might be powerless to alter the course of events. Martin remained ensnared in contemplation, weighing the perilous allure of his prospective venture against the comforts of familiarity and emotional connection. Chelsea clutched the incriminating documents like talismans against the storm of revelation, her face etched with a mixture of horror, disbelief, and determination. Haley scurried to recover the lost gift, each step a manifestation of her anxiety, frustration, and fear of the consequences that misunderstanding could provoke. These interwoven narratives coalesced into a complex tapestry of tension, where each character's choices reverberated outward, intersecting in ways that heightened the stakes and amplified the consequences. Naomi, Martin, Chelsea, and Haley were all compelled to confront their innermost fears, desires, and moral boundaries. Naomi's longing collided with the reality of separation, Martin's ambition warred with his sense of duty and loyalty, Chelsea's pursuit of truth threatened her trust in others, forcing her to navigate a treacherous landscape of partial truths and potential betrayals, and Haley's well-meaning actions revealed the fragility of intention in the face of human error. Within this crucible of circumstance, the latent tensions between personal ambition, loyalty, trust, and deception were rendered unavoidable. Each decision carried profound weight, shaping not only the immediate outcomes but the moral and emotional trajectories of the characters themselves. Naomi's internal battle revealed the fragility of intimacy when confronted with unspoken anxieties. Martin's dilemma highlighted the psychological cost of ambition when ambition demands sacrifice. Chelsea's investigation underscored the peril inherent in uncovering truths that some may wish to remain hidden, and Haley's minor calamity illustrated how even the most innocuous misstep could catalyze larger conflicts within a tightly knit social framework. The culmination of these events left each character teetering on the precipice of transformation or collapse. Naomi's sorrowful gaze out the window foreshadowed potential heartbreak or the rekindling of courage to act decisively. Martin's reflective posture suggested a future shaped by the tension between risk and responsibility. Chelsea's grasp on the documents symbolized both empowerment and the weight of knowledge that could unravel familial and social bonds. Haley's frantic efforts to reclaim the gift signified the collision between intention and circumstance, a microcosm of the larger themes of misunderstanding and interpersonal tension. As the narrative drew to a close, the unresolved threads left a sense of anticipatory tension. Would Naomi and Jacob find a path through their emotional impasse? Could Martin reconcile ambition with loyalty, or would he succumb to the lure of opportunity at the expense of personal connections? How would Chelsea navigate the treacherous landscape of deception, and what revelations lay in store for her as she pieced together the full scope of the fraud? And how might Haley's misadventure, trivial in isolation yet fraught with social implication, ripple outward to exacerbate tensions and catalyze conflicts yet unseen? The tapestry of these intertwined storylines underscored the central truth of their lives, that choices are never isolated, that every action reverberates in unforeseen ways, and that the delicate balance between desire, morality, and circumstance can be upended in an instant. Each character, ensnared in their private battles, faced a crucible of internal and external pressures that demanded courage, cunning, and, at times, ruthlessness. The stage was set for confrontation, revelation, and emotional upheaval, a narrative landscape where the weight of secrecy, ambition, and human frailty would collide with inevitable force. In this expanded web of intrigue, Naomi, Martin, Chelsea, and Haley were no longer merely players in separate dramas but interdependent forces whose trajectories would intersect with profound consequence.
The tension that simmered in Naomi's chest mirrored the uncertainties that haunted Martin.
Chelsea's discovery threatened not only her mother's safety but the integrity of her understanding of family and trust itself. Hayley's mishap, initially comedic, underscored the precariousness of control and the potential for unintended consequences to spark deeper conflict. Each subplot amplified the stakes of the others, weaving together a narrative rich in psychological complexity and suspense, a landscape where ambition, love, fear, and betrayal collided in unpredictable and unavoidable ways. By the end of the episode, the audience is left suspended in a state of acute tension, keenly aware that each character stands at a pivotal juncture. The emotional gravity of their decisions, the interlocking nature of their struggles, and the imminent potential for betrayal and revelation set the stage for further escalation. Their internal conflicts, magnified by external pressures and the machinations of those around them, create a fertile ground for drama that is as psychologically intricate as it is narratively compelling. The stage is set for confrontation, moral reckoning, and the profound consequences of choices made under duress. Each character teeters between courage and fear, truth and deception, loyalty and self-interest, establishing a narrative momentum that promises an even more turbulent journey in the episodes to come. As the day draws to a close, the weight of unspoken truths and unresolved tensions hangs heavy over Naomi, Martin, Chelsea, and Hayley, each trapped in their own private labyrinth of doubt and desire. Naomi lingers by the window, her gaze fixed on the fading figure of Jacob disappearing into the distance, a mixture of longing, fear, and quiet desperation etched into every line of her face. Her heart is a battlefield, torn between the instinct to reach out and the paralyzing dread that her vulnerability might drive him further away. Every memory, every shared moment with Jacob, plays like a relentless echo, amplifying the uncertainty of what comes next. Martin, meanwhile, sits alone in the dim glow of his office, the potential of a daring venture promising both wealth and ruin. The risk gnaws at him relentlessly, as ambition and loyalty wage a silent war within, each thought a sharp reminder of what he stands to gain and what he could irrevocably lose. Chelsea clutches the incriminating documents in trembling hands, the revelations within threatening to topple the fragile foundation of trust she had so carefully maintained. The lines between friend and foe blur, and every decision feels weighted with consequences that extend far beyond her control. Hayley, frantically trying to reclaim the lost gift, becomes a symbol of the precarious balance between intention and chaos, her efforts a stark reminder that even the smallest missteps can spiral into profound conflict. As night falls, the four lives, each fraught with their own fears and ambitions, remain suspended on the knife's edge of uncertainty. Love and loyalty, ambition and betrayal, truth and deception are all poised to collide, promising upheaval, revelation, and the inexorable consequences of choices made in desperation and hope alike. The stage is set, the stakes higher than ever, leaving an unbearable tension that carries the promise of confrontation, heartbreak, and transformation in the episodes yet to come.